Welcome back to True Crime with Yvonne. Let's take a deep dive into the case of Sifiso Mkhwanazi. He was 21 years of age at the time of his trial. He brutally murdered 6 prostitutes in Johannesburg. It's a sensitive case to the families, friends, natives of South Africa, and Zimbabwe's natives. Let's talk about Sifiso's childhood. He was born in Soweto by a single mother, along with his sister. His dad, who is Mark Kwamalo, on the other hand, was born in Uganda. He was a businessman who owns an auto mechanical shop, also called a beaten panel. His dad was Muslim and a polygamist. As already noted here, his dad migrated for a better life. Sifiso had a normal childhood like any other child. He loved studying math, science, and soccer. He is also described as a shy and quiet person. According to reports, his mom died, then he went to live with his dad. As any other young adult, he tried finding his way. He lived in South Africa with his stepmom, siblings, and dad, Mark Kwamalo. Because Sifiso wanted to still be in school, his dad enrolled him in a Muslim school to instill values that he thought would be beneficial. Of course, Sifiso was not happy because there was absolutely no academics included. I can only imagine how his dreams were being crushed. So then his dad took him out to pursue another Muslim school with subjects like math and science, more subjects that he likes. And he also liked his sports, soccer. Unfortunately, 2019 came along, and we all know that during that year, COVID hit. That's when Sifiso started working with his dad at the panel beating. He had no excuse because we know during COVID, everything was closing down or was closed. During the trial, we didn't hear much about any girlfriends of Sifiso. We also know that he was Muslim, therefore, there was no sex before marriage. However, Sifiso found his way around this. When Sifiso was 18 years old, he was arrested for forcing himself on a prostitute. According to him, the prostitute increased her price after their transaction. Sifiso refused to pay as he should. The prostitute reported him to the police. He was prosecuted and charged with rape. Sifiso was angry. He spent 10 months of jail time. Later, the allegations were dropped. Along the way, he paid the prostitute off, so that's why the charges were lessened, because according to other videos that I saw, they said it's normally 50 months. But anyway, let's move on. When he returned, he continued his ugly ways of sleeping with women. Remember, he's not supposed to have sex before marriage, and he was going to a Muslim school. He would take them to the mechanic shop or panel beating where he worked. It was a big empty warehouse with lots of rooms. No one was present at the times he will visit except for the security. They trusted that he was doing right because the security testified he assumed that the ladies left with Sifiso. In actual reality, not all did. Sifiso would drive his dad's car on Saturdays and Sundays to pick up the prostitutes. He ended up killing about 6 of them, which is why he is called a serial killer, because we know that more than 3 people in separate events over a period of time, that is what is considered a serial killer. So how did we find out about all these killings that he's done? 21 years of age, so young, has so much future in front of him. According to people that testified at the trial, he was very smart. So I don't know exactly what was going on in his head. One day, the caretaker, Damien, went to wash his car. He normally washes his car outside, but on this day, it was too cold to wash it, so he washed it inside. So he went upstairs for water with his 4-year-old son. Upon entering, he smelled a foul, unbearable stench. He opened the first office, then he opened the second office, but the scent was not there as strong and nothing to be seen. In room 3, the scent was pungent. It was very strong. And he thought he saw a body, but was not sure. He called the security and they shunned the cellular phone light into the area, and what they saw was undescribable. It was like a slaughterhouse, blood all over. The body was partially decayed. This lady's body had exploded because she was pregnant and the fetus had come out of her stomach. It was reported that she was there for a few days. This prompted the caretaker and security to call Mark Squamolo, that's Sifiso's dad, and the authorities. Sifiso, from the time he saw the police, knew he was in big trouble. He tried running away even before he was told what was going on. Sifiso was then questioned at the station. To add to this, the security and the police, they looked at the CCTV, and they saw Sifiso was seen escorting his last victim to the beaten panel. But that person never came out. He still denied it, that it was him. The dad testified that he took notice of things like drums missing from his shop. He also noticed the place had a foul scent. However, it was his son who always had an explanation. He would say it's a dead cat or dog. He explained the missing drums were taken by the sanitation workers. His dad also said that the windows were left open, although employees were repeatedly told to keep the windows closed. However, Sifiso kept the windows open to help get rid of the scent. Not long after, the dad and his workers were cleaning out the slaughterhouse for the first victim found, when the water led them to another victim. So the water ran down to another room, and there was like an air conditioner in the other room, and under the air conditioner, I think the second victim, she was found there. There was lots of blood, fluid, hair, underwears, condoms, used and unused, blood on the stairways and the floor. So after they found this second victim, they started searching the whole building. From there, they found 4 other victims in other areas. The authorities said the bodies were found all over. So these are the exact locations where they found the bodies. We had one body found in a steel shim, and that body was decomposed. We have another body inside of a bin that was decomposed. Then there was another body in the back of the panel van, another body in a truck inside of a bin. Then we have another body that was just pure skeleton. That was his first victim that he killed. And we have the other body in the office 3. That was his last victim, but his first victim found. The victims were all alleged sex workers from Zimbabwe. They were tied up, raped repeatedly, and then murdered. Sifiso confessed to the murders, claiming it was a revenge due to the first incident he had with the Zambian worker. According to Sifiso, if the prostitutes stuck to their agreement, he was fine with that. He did let some of the prostitutes go if he didn't have to change the price. In court, Sifiso claimed he was abused by his dad and beaten for making mistakes at the job. He also said the confession that he told his dad was coerced, so that was later retrieved. In the end, DNA proved that Sifiso was the person involved. He was charged with 6 counts of murders, 6 counts of rape, kidnapping, and concealment of bodies. He also stole one of the sex workers' phone, and he was charged with using a gun. His first victim was shot, which was so different from the others. It seemed like she put up a fight, and because he couldn't handle her, he went for his father's gun inside of another office, came back and shot her dead. In September 2024, Sifiso was found guilty on all charges and will serve 6 life sentences with an additional of 170 years for related crime of rape, kidnapping, and concealment. So thank goodness he will be in jail forever, for a very long time. It's sad how he is so young and he committed all these crimes. I don't know exactly what was going on in his mind. You never thought about the outcome of this? You did one, you got away with it. You did a second, a third, a fourth, a fifth, and sixth. These are families that you've destroyed. And I hope you sit in that cell every single day and remember these people. This is not an easy story because this little boy, he is so young. And this trouble started when he was 18. Maybe he should have gotten help. His father should have gotten him help after he was accused the first time and let him know the seriousness of this. Because now you're in jail for life. You ruined a relationship between you and your father. So I'm going to tell you guys some stories of families that were affected. Okay, the first story is of Joyce Moyer. So Joyce Moyer was one of the 6 prostitutes who was found in the beaten panel. She left Zimbabwe for a better life for her children. She had 3 children, 11, 14, and 18. So she had left them back in Zimbabwe with her sister Grace, and this is what her sister Grace said. This is the victim's sister. So according to her, she said her sister was a very hardworking woman who moved for a better life. She was a sole breadwinner, and now she has to be responsible for her own children and her sister's children. And at that time, she wasn't working. Now her children have to live without her. Okay, this is what her sister said. She said Joyce Moyer told the family that she was moving to South Africa to work as a security. She moved because she saw that they were struggling in Zimbabwe. Joyce sent money to the family back in Zimbabwe. She said it hurts that she's no longer with them. And, no imprisonment, no amount of punishment can bring back her sister. Grace said her and her sister spoke every day. This is one day. Then one day she didn't call or returned her call, and she was very concerned. So she went to her home, spoke to some neighbors, and found out she left about 3 days ago. And then she went to the police so they can investigate it. A few days after, they found out that there was some ladies found in a barrel, and her sister was one of them. I can't imagine how devastating that was. She was hoping it was a case of mistaken identity. It was quite hard for her to digest. Just want to say my condolences to her family, her children especially, because I know definitely she'll be greatly missed. There was another young girl. She said she knew her mom was a prostitute. It's nothing that she said she can be proud of, but that's her mom and she loved her mom regardless. This is what her mom did to provide for them. Her and her mom will keep in contact every hour. And one day she called and she kept calling and her mom never returned her call, which was quite unusual. So they went searching for her. They kept asking people, have they seen her? And if you see her, can you tell her to call home? And after a few days, this never happened. She never showed up. They went to the police and reported her. This is a woman who got shot in the head. She's the one that fought the young man at the end. She's the first victim that was found. This is a story about another young lady telling how she got into prostitution. Her and her husband moved from Zimbabwe to South Africa. And one day her husband just got up and left her. And she said she had her children there and she didn't have any money to provide for her family. She went to her husband's job. He gave her 2 months of rent and told her, that's it, don't come back. And she said she was getting money from a friend of hers. And then after a while, she said she couldn't keep taking money from her friend. So her friend showed her how she was getting the money. And that's how she got into prostitution. So some of these women, this is not what they want for their families. This is not what they dream for themselves either. But because they were pushed into certain circumstances, this is what is left for them. Maybe they don't have the proper education to get a good job, quote unquote, good job. So this is what they resort to. I know prostitution is not something that I will tell anyone to go into. But if you decide to make that choice to become a prostitute, well, hopefully it's not going to be a long-term thing, because it's very dangerous. Men will do things to you that you don't want to. Some of them won't pay you. Some of them will unalive you just because they can't pay for the service, or they enjoy the fact of seeing a woman suffer, or whatever they went through their life. They inflict those pain on the women. This is just like a whole, sad situation. I can't imagine how fearful their lives must be every day, going out there not knowing what's going to be the outcome. Anyway, guys, if you enjoy this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, turn on your post notification bell, and come back, guys. Come back and listen to the next video. Take care.